Fanatics. Hey y'all, how you doing? We're in the single digits. Let's go. Oh man, it is coming down. We are in the single digits. Felt like it would never get here. I am pumped to talk about the next teams. The I gotta apologize. I feel like I gotta apologize how like kind of down I was on the last two. It felt like they were so good that they had to be up higher, and I just couldn't drop them any farther. But I just so many flags about them. But I think the rest of the teams, even if I say that they got like worse or that I have worries, I am confident that these teams will perform. I don't think there's like the red flags that we think there are. This team is probably going into that next tier of teams. So this is probably the I think we're probably entering the contender tier. Everybody says every year there's only like four contenders or five contenders. I think there's about nine contenders. About nine. I think nine teams can win the Super Bowl, and I think these nine teams are probably the teams. I don't think anybody that I've talked about before this can make the Super Bowl, or at least win the Super Bowl. They might make the Super Bowl. I don't know. Things happen. They can pick up somebody. Chris Jones is not happy. He's talking about sitting out. So Jonathan Taylor looking for a trade. Go to the right team. Anything can happen. So I have the Miami Dolphins as my first contender, and they come in at number 9. Whew, man, the Dolphins. The only thing that kind of makes me nervous about the Dolphins is, first of all, they're in a really tough division, and second of all, the Jalen Ramsey injury, and third of all, like sometimes teams just come out of nowhere. Like we didn't see any tape of Mike McDaniel's. So like think about Lamar Jackson his first year. It's like, whoa, we haven't seen this before. And then you kind of see it and you kind of get tape on it and you figure out how to play against it. It kind of feels like that way with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's like, whoa, this how do we stop this dude? He's still good. Like he's still gonna be Josh Allen, but you start to kind of learn how to scheme against these teams or these players. I feel that happened with like Peterson. Peterson, whoa, like, and then a couple years later, not so good. And these teams don't really do injury very well. Like, say, the 49ers. If everything's going well, 49ers are good. But you look at the record for Shanahan, I think he has 3 winning seasons and 3 losing seasons. And it's because guys get hurt, so you don't recover from injury very well. Mostly because you are heavy talent and you coach up everywhere else. So if talent gets hurt, then you don't have like more talent. You don't have talent spread out. You have the top tier guys, and that's it. Rams won the Super Bowl, and then got injured to their top tier talent players, and so that's my biggest worry. And Jalen Ramsey is already down. So this team was well on their way. Man, this team started off 8-3 last year, and then injuries started happening, and they started falling off. And good coached, well-run organizations can usually overcome injury. Like, I just talked about the Niners having winning seasons, losing seasons, but they have a running back go down. They had Jimmy Garoppolo go down, and they filled him in with Purdy. It was fine. When Tom Brady went down, and what was the guy's name that came through? Oh, goodness gracious. The guy that ended up going to the Chiefs. Gosh, why can't I think of his name right now? All right. But he came in, and they had a winning record. You can overcome injuries for a little bit of time when you have a really good run organization, and they might have that. I just don't know because it's been 1 year. So I know that they went 8-3 with 2 of those. Honestly, they went 8-1 with Tua healthy because 2 of those losses were with Tua down. And And then, injuries started piling up. People started like scheming against them. That's my only worry about this team. My only worry about that is the injuries. I got to tell you that initially I had this team going to the AFC Championship game. I've changed that now, but initially I had that because of the talent. But yeah, this team is uber talented everywhere. So let's do our normal thing. We go to PFF grades. So we had the O line at 20. It's kind of the same O line though. So well, it does suck because you don't get Tua ain't the most elusive person in the world, but I think that they are fine, and they did add a couple pieces. I think they're going to be okay, especially with a full season to kind of gain continuity and kind of a full off season with guys that have been there and done that before. So I think it's going to get better. And 20 is not 20 is basically, if you say more or less four positions, that's it could be average. And average isn't bad. The Bengals don't have a good offensive line, and they were in the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row, and one of them was and then they went to the Super Bowl 1 year. So you can scheme around line. Around offensive line, and you get the ball out faster. I mean, when you got speed like Waddle and Hill, you can get a bunch of yards after the catch, and they're going to be able to run the ball, I think, a lot better. They whiffed on Edmonds. Edmonds was just awful. They brought in some depth. They brought in A-Chain. They brought in Mostert, Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I mean that Miles Gaskin, I think, came back. Ahmed, I think, is back. So they got backs now. They got some depth at back, so guys go down. You have plugins, so you don't have to be so one dimensional. And he wants to run the football anyways. So I think you set up play action, get Tyreek going deep. Boy's good. And then you got the second best secondary. Now that was done when Ramsey wasn't hurt, and when Ramsey's back, they might, I don't know what, they might have the first best secondary. They're saying the Jets do, which I know that they have a elite corner and an elite safety, but this might be the most well-rounded defensive secondary. Yeah, because the Eagles lost Gardner Johnson. I think I might like the Jags secondary fully healthy. And then they brought in a second rounder, Cam Smith, who we were big on as Panther fans because we thought we needed a corner because we were so worried about Dante Jackson. Looks like Dante Jackson's be okay. So we're okay at corner, but a lot of Panthers fans wanted Cam Smith, and they got him, and he's a good player. I think he's gonna be the one that takes over for Ramsey for a little while, and so Ramsey comes back, and I think he's gonna be good. I think he's a second round pick, but he's 51. I mean, he could have slid into the first round. Somebody could have. He's a good player. So let's keep going like we always do. So let's go to last year's schedule. So they have New England at home, which is a win, 20-7. At Ravens, they win 42-38. They win at home against the Bills, 21-19. They lose at Bengals, and that's when Tua goes down. So Tua plays 38% of the snaps, and they're away, so they lose that game. Who knows what would have happened? And then he was out for the Jets, and they won at Jets. The Jets won at Jets 40-17. Then they lost at home to the Vikings with Tua still out, 24-16. So there's a world that they're 6-0 if Tua plays fully healthy. There's a world. I mean, I don't want to assume that they would win if Tua was on the field, but their 3 losses, Tua only played 38% of one game snaps. So, and then Tua comes back, and then they win against the Steelers. They win at Lions, 31-27. They win at Bears, 35-32. They win at home against the Browns, 39-17. They win at home against the Texans, 30-15. And then they go on this brutal schedule. 3 away games in a row, and it's cross-country to 49ers. At Niners, they lose 33-17. At Chargers, cross-country again, 23-17. and they lose at Bills. So we go away, away, away. They lose 32-29. They catch Green Bay on their run trying to make the playoffs. They lose 26-20. They go to New England. They lose 23-21. So they go away, 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 home, away. And they finally need to beat the Jets to get in the playoffs, and they beat them without Tua 11-6. So they basically lose Tua for 5 games, and they go 1-4 in those games. So you take those games out, they are 8-4, which is pretty good. Pretty good team. They get Mike White. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, can't be Skylar Thompson. Like, I think Mike White might be better than Skylar Thompson. I don't know. I have no idea because they were both, but they think Mike White's pretty good, I guess. So that's your backup. I guess that's better. Like I said, I'm just a guy. I have no idea. They also put up some. They also put up some points, but they had these games randomly where people would just put up these insane numbers: 29 points, 32 points, 38 points. You just didn't know which defense you were going to get, so it looks like they were like. I think injuries had a lot to do with those. But normally, if you look at the total, the other team usually gets somewhere around 22, 23 to 17 in that range, which isn't awful. It's not bad. But now you get Vic Fangio. That's a big pickup. Fangio is one of the most well respected defensive minds in the league. That's a huge pickup because you're looking. So if you think about this, think about that they are sort of Rams-esque because they have this top tier talent, and then you kind of just have to coach the bottom tier. And 49ers have been able to do that pretty well. Rams have been able to do that pretty well. The only scary part is when those guys go down, and that's what happened to Ramsey. So you got Howard, Ramsey, then you got Chubb. Phillips has been playing super well. You got Armstead as your left tackle, kind of like Trent Williams. They have their great left tackle, and then they kind of mix and mash it together, and the rest of the offensive line is like San Francisco, because I think that they are so well coached at running back. I mean, at a quarterback, that those guys just get rid of the ball. If they see something pressure immediately, if they can see the pressure, they can get rid of the ball. But they need the elite left tackle blindside to have confidence in, so they don't get hit from behind because they can't see that. So yeah, I mean, geez, man, that's amazing. So you get your huge needs out of the way because you say you don't have depth at cornerback, but you have Ramsey and you have Howard. But if one of those guys go down, then you get Cam Smith. It'd be pretty good. Then you say your running backs, you don't have depth. You get A-Chain in the third round. Pretty good. You lose Gesicki, who really wasn't. He was just a huge red zone threat. He had a ton of touchdowns last year. I can't remember how many, but he had a ton of touchdowns. So you get Higgins later on in the draft. They bring a couple guys in, tight end. I kind of worry about tight end because I worry about your red zone threat. But I think they're going to be so good at running the football, and I think that you just got Tyreek Hill is like a weirdly good red zone threat because he gets off the line of scrimmage so quickly, and as long as you hit him when he gets, because he will get immediately 3-4 yards of separation. So if you can just scheme that, same with Waddle. It's just so fast. And they got Cedric Wilson. Yeah, they're pretty good. And both those guys just exploded last year. They're so fast, so elite. They might be the best. People would say T. Higgins and Chase, but I think A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, I think Tyreek Hill and Waddle are the best duo in the league. It has to be. Chase and Higgins are probably the best example. A.J. Brown, I just think Hill is so much better than Brown as far as talent. I think Brown might be better like fantasy-wise because they just use him. So, they use Hill too. They're both pretty good fantasy-wise. Yeah, they're both good. Yeah, Smith, I can't. They're different receivers, so I can't really tell. But yeah, they are as good as any duo in the league. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about this team. So let's see what they didn't really lose anybody. They lost Rowe on the Panthers, who I mean, who's been pretty good with us, but I think he might get cut. He's a little older now. And we have some pretty good safeties, and a lot of our like I don't think he's going to make the first string, and a lot of our second string we need to play special teams. So I don't think he's multiple enough. So I think Rowe is probably going to get cut. You lose Kasicki. I don't know. You bring in some depth at O line and safety. You don't really bring in anyone honestly, except for Ramsey, which pretty good to pretty good to bring in. I like that guy. I want that guy on my team. He's been one of the best corners in the league. Oh yeah, I mean, so let's look at this brutal schedule they had last year. I actually haven't done this yet, so I'm interested to do this. Right, so we have the Ravens who went to the playoffs. We had the Bills that went to the playoffs. We had the Bengals that went to the playoffs. We had the Vikings that went to the playoffs. We have the let's just put the Steelers and Lions because they're winning records. Uh, 49ers, Chargers, Bills, and Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay and New England are probably the two best 8-9 teams. So, but whatever. Uh, so they had 9 teams with winning records, plus New England twice, and Green Bay. Let's just say teams 8 and above. It's 12 of 17 teams. And then 2 of those were also the Jets, who have one of the best defenses. They're only gimmies. Bears were bad last year. Texans. That is it. Wow. If I think about my rankings and how I have everybody this year, oof. New England, Ravens, Bills, Bengals, Jets, Vikings, Steelers, Lions, 49ers, Chargers, Bills, Green Bay, New England, Jets, and then I didn't even throw uh, the Browns in there, but they're super talented too. They had to go through that gauntlet. Okay, let me see if they do it again this year. They gotta have done a better schedule than this. So let's do this schedule now. I actually was gonna forget to do it. So this is what I have. I have Chargers win at Chargers. They win at Chargers. It's the first game of the season, so I don't mind it being on the road because it's not like they have to change over. So being at Chargers isn't that big of a deal for the first game of the season. Uh, I think they lose to New England at New England most because it's away than away. And then win at Denver or home at Denver. Win against Buffalo at Buffalo. Lost to mostly the reason I think they have Buffalo circled on their calendar. Buffalo beat them at the end of the year by 3, and they beat them in the playoffs by 3. I think they're circling that on the calendar. So I have 3 of the first 4 are wins. I have them losing at home to the Giants just because I feel like they can't run the ball against them. Their line's not very good. Giants' defensive front is very good. I think it's just a bad matchup. So I have the Giants winning. I have them beating Carolina. They're just too fast for our corners. It's going to depend if we can get some pressure. That's to be determined. But JC, they're just too fast. They're too fast for our corners. Then you have going to at Philly. It's a loss because it's in Philly. Then you beat New England. You lose at KC. You beat the Raiders after a bye at home. Then I got you losing at Jets on a short week at the Jets. So you're traveling on a short week because it's a Friday night game. I think that's there's a Black Friday game. I think that's a Black Friday game. Then you're at Washington. Same thing. Great defensive front. Don't think you'll be able to run the ball. Then you're at home against Tennessee on Monday Night Football. That's a win. Lights bright. Jets. You gotta beat them at some point. They also have a great defensive front, so it's gonna be really, really tough. But I mean, you gotta beat the Jets. You beat them last year. Whew, that's tough though. I'm kind of like regretting, but it's a division game. I think you split with them. So I got you beating the Jets once this year at home to Dallas. Same thing. They're just The defensive front's too good. You can't block them. Not be able to establish a run. At Baltimore, I think that you have to go win-win to make the playoffs. And just like you had to win against the Jets last year to make it without Tua, I think you have to go to Baltimore and win, and you have to go at home to Buffalo and win. And that game's gonna be so big, but you're at home against Buffalo. That could be for a playoff spot. And I know a lot of people just assume that Buffalo is gonna win the division. They got a gauntlet that they got to go through. Gauntlet. So they could. I mean, they could because they're that talented. But so let's see. Based on last year, winning record 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So based on last year, you only got to play 8 teams with winning records. Where last year you had to go against. I guess we said without the extra 8, 9 teams, you would 9. So I guess it's sort of the same, but I think you get some gimmies with so you get the Raiders, you get yeah, you don't get. I don't think any of these teams are gimmies, man. I think what you do though is that you match up well with a lot of these teams because they don't have speed at corner. They don't have a lot of speed on the back end. Like Carolina's a good matchup for you. Uh, Buffalo, Trip White he's just a step slow now. Um, yeah, a lot of these corners and safeties are a little slow. So I don't want to get too deep into every single team. I've already talked about every single team. So I think you have better matchups. And you also don't get a gauntlet like going at 49ers, at Chargers, at Bills, home to Green Bay, at New England. That was just a beast. Beast, beast, beast. Um, but yeah, I mean I love this team. I think this team is fun. My only worries is that I need them to they have to stay healthy because they're so front loaded and they need to not get teams have had a whole off season to watch film on you. Stay creative. Keep building on what you did last year. Don't get predictable. So those things I'm kind of worried about. But talent wise, man, this team is great, and they're kind of the first of the teams left that can win a Super Bowl. I think this top 9 is the teams that can win the Super Bowl. I just don't see Ravens this year, and I don't see Chargers, which I was just way too high on. I guess once I saw them, I was just like, "Oh, I had them at 11. Did I get tricked into thinking they're good? I don't know. I don't know." All right, but that's it. So yeah, so I have them at what do I have them at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, and 7. And I changed the Ravens because after last week, I kind of was like, I'm just too high on this team. I'm making their record based on their ceiling versus their what is more likely to happen. More likely to happen that Lamar's going to miss some games, that Dobbins going to miss some games, that there's going to be some sort of bad dynamic, bad culture in the locker room. People are going to. I just doesn't. It just feels, to me. I I think when it comes push to shove, I think Miami takes that last spot and they come. They're my 7th team making the playoffs, and I have them 10-7 making the playoffs, and I have Jacksonville winning against the Ravens at Jacksonville, and that's how the Ravens come down from 11-6 to 10-7, and I have Miami winning at Baltimore, so they have the tiebreaker, so they make the playoffs over the Ravens. So we'll see if it happens. I don't know. I'm just a guy. So all right. Thanks, y'all. It was thank you for making it this far. If you come on this far and you've listened to every single one, man, thank you so much. That's amazing. That's really you guys are really nice. That's really cool. And I'll catch you Nick. I'm not catching anybody naked. I'll catch you next time. Bye 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 bye.